discussion by sending us messages on 6933 or send those messages via our Facebook wall. And this show is being uploaded on YouTube, and you can follow it and participate in the discussions that follow. A listener called Okello says, you earlier said that leadership code declaring that you can't declare because the wealth of relatives of leaders are also included. But again, you have confirmed that they consider all those as assets of a leader, of someone holding a public office. Those of relatives of a holder of a public office.
Not the relatives. I've said the assets we consider to be of the leader are the assets which are registered in the names of infant or dependent children. Only dependent children. Those are the ones which we consider to be assets of the leader.
Mr. IGG, Angela, you wanted to make an argument before you took
Yes, I did. Because, one of the defining industries for the next 25 to maybe 50 years is going to be the oil sector. Since December, I've been perusing through the oil bills. The last one, the finance bill, which is much better than the other two, is about to be tabled before the House. The principal bill, the petroleum bill 2011, it has serious problems. One, it is very weak on transparency, a matter which the leadership code addresses. It is weak on the environment, on environment protection, but most importantly, it provides too much power in the hands of the executive against other agencies, and very little room actually for oversight. Now, the principal organ, the ombudsman, the government watchdog, has got a track record of investigating and fighting corruption, and I think that the IGG should seek not just to explain the law, but to appear before the relevant committee to explain how the system of checks and balances works, because it has been an institution that is charged with that. Because if if this is not done, and the MPs don't borrow his experience and his and his role, then I think that the argument for checks and balances within the present bill would be lost. And I encourage Honorable Raphael Bakku to find time to go and meet the committee, because that's a very important bill.
Okay, I can consider that. But of course, the normal practice has been for the committee to be the one to invite people whom they think can make a contribution to particular legislations. I have so far not yet got an invitation from the committee, but I can give some thought to your proposal, and if we find we can make useful contribution, I think certainly
I believe the Act actually says it uses the word initiative in your Empowering Act. So please don't wait for these MPs. It's there in the law.
Yes,
the law says you can initiate.
Yeah, since you have interested us, we will. But the initiative which is applied in the law is initiative to investigate, not initiative to appear everywhere.
Just like the initiative you can take to make those declarations public.
Spoken like a lawyer.
Oiroth James says, why does IGG lose interest in cases that matter to the citizens and only cases that involve the big fish?
But I have not lost the case. I have not lost the interest in the case which is of major public importance. Actually, what some of the criteria we use for taking a case to court for prosecution is the public interest in the matter. For example, if there is last time I gave an example of a police officer, one who takes 10,000 shillings, another one takes 100,000. Sometimes we may say this 100,000, let him just be dismissed. But the person who takes 10,000 shillings, in one case, we prosecuted, not because of the amount of money, but because of the circumstances and the public interest in the matter. So public interest is one of the criteria we use for determining what action should be taken.
How do you respond to people who argue that your office only takes interest in prosecution and takes the glory of appearing to be prosecuting a case, generate a lot of public attention, media attention, and then after that lose interest? Because that's what he's asking about here.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. There are very, very few cases where we have lost interest. Actually,
and those few cases, because you have prosecuted few cases, and those that you have lost interest in are cases involving the big fish, that once they have generated the initial excitement, you pull back.
But that's not true. The only case where you are talking about where you think we lost the interest and that has been a major public concern, was the one of Professor Bukenya. But that one I explained here, I think the last time I was here, that it was not a complete loss of interest. There were other circumstances because of the other proceedings which were going on, and we did not want to move simultaneously with another proceeding and I was also proceeding. That is why we halted.
Isn't it that you wanted...
So I think that should not be used to generalize, to say that we lose interest in all the big fees cases. That is the only one which has happened. In other cases, we sometimes discontinue prosecution when, for example, a person is charged with causing financial loss. Then a person comes up, say, no, I don't admit having stolen this money, but I'm prepared to make good this financial loss because for some circumstance I'm not able to account, therefore I pay back the money. So if a person has paid back the money,
from where?
If a person has paid back the money, then you'll find it difficult to go to court and prove that there was financial loss because the financial loss has been made good.
But
so
you are a lawyer.
In those process,
you're a lawyer, Mr. IGG.
In those process,
I and Angelo conspired to steal 1 billion shillings. And we have stolen previously another 3 billion shillings.
Yes.
You catch us on the last 1 billion shillings. And we say, no, don't prosecute us. Let us pay back. We pick from what we had stolen and pay back. And you're satisfied and we stop it at that.
No, that is a different circumstance. But even under those circumstances where we say the person has paid back, we don't remain there satisfied. We actually go ahead to say this person has done ABCD, although he has made good this loss, let him be sacked from public office. And the person will be sacked.
And then they go to retire and enjoy their load.
And then they can go. If they have stolen what we have not discovered, then that is a different matter. But if we knew that the other proceeds also were stolen, we could go for them.
How have you applied the information you have from the declarations to back up some of the cases of corruption you have tried to investigate?
Yeah, we always make reference to the declarations when we are investigating allegations of corruption against people, against leaders, because the declarations are only made by leaders.
I'm trying to find out how those declarations help your office to investigate and fight corruption.
Well, first of all, the declaration has got the assets of a person, has got bank accounts, so we can go and check what transaction has taken place on a bank account during a particular period. That one we can check. If a person has got his assets declared, property here and there, then we assess whether this property was acquired at a point where there is suspicion about corruption took place or not, and so on and so on. I cannot go in all details.
But if a politician has only been an MP for 3 terms and you find that he owns a small island, and those circumstances enough to...
Yeah, if we find that will be circumstances that can generate investigation. Actually, now what is good, if we can really take advantage of, is under the Anti-Corruption Act, there is a law which has been put recently, that is the law against illicit enrichment. If there is information that a person is living way above his income or has got assets way above his known income, that can generate an investigation. And
isn't that the case of most politicians?
And once the investigation concludes so, the person can be prosecuted for illicit enrichment.
You're going to jail half the parliament.
We tried, when we tried with Gasasira under the leadership code. When we found his assets were way above his income as a public officer, we took steps to have him dismissed and to confiscate his assets. But what happened? He went to court. What did he argue? He did not argue that this property or assets are commensurate with my income. But his argument was that the Inspectorate of Government did not give him a fair hearing in the course of investigations. And that was how we lost the case in the Court of Appeal.
Apart from Gasasara, what other curious declarations have you found?
In fact,
without
mentioning names, who are the wealthiest public servants?
Actually, Gasasira was our test case because that was when we were determined to say, now let us use this procedure of enforcing the leadership code. And we got the hurdle on the first occasion, so we did not move further.
And you walked back. But you perused these declarations.
We have now taken him on for illicit enrichment as an offense. But of course, he has also put a constitutional petition, so we are still
when you peruse through, what have you found from other declarations apart from
without mentioning names? Can you tell the public who have got the richest?
But that giving names, I cannot say who.
No, don't. Okay, say give us a profile of some of the wealthiest public servants. Do they tend to be cabinet ministers, for example?
There is a mix. Even within the cabinet, there are also very poor people who are even heavily indebted. They are there. The MPs, ministers who hardly have assets, but also they are there who are rich.
What is the profile?
We tried with even with the permanent secretaries. We found that there is also a mix. We tried accountants because we had been trying to go by category of public officers. Accountants, that was where we were able to get to Gasasira, but the others, they were able to show how
They accumulated.
how they accumulated their wealth. And on the face of it, they look legitimate. Because many say, well, I don't depend on my salary. I also have other activities. I do this. I'm a trader in the produce. I'm a farmer. And some of them have farms. So you go there, you find the farm is there. So although you cannot say all the other income have come from the farm.
So the farms are
but,
fronts and you have
but
accepted
the farm
them.
is there. So in the absence of other information, you accept what is available.
Anan Kennedy says, tired of this Ugandan politics is so disgusting. I'll join it when the big thief in the big thief in State House and his ministers are kicked out of power. FOC. To Muhimbise Rogers, how independent is the institution of the IGG? What are his achievements so far in regard to fighting corruption in Uganda? Can you give a quick answer before we take the break?
Yeah, the inspectors of government is as independent as the constitution says it is. The constitution says the inspector of government shall be independent and not subject to the control or direction of any person or authority. And that is what we are living by, the spirit and the letter of the law. Our efforts at fighting corruption, they are there. You know, the people we are prosecuting, the ministers we are prosecuting, the other public officers we are prosecuting, they are there. Under the Anti-Corruption Act, we can also prosecute people for corruption in the private sector, but we still have not delved in there. We are still focusing more on the public sector because we also don't get so many complaints yet from the private sector. So our actions are there to be seen.
Okay, I'll take just one last message because you don't need to respond to it from Luke Nyakarahuka, who says, Dear IGG, why did you lose interest in Professor Bukenya's case? You answering that just before, just in this quarter. Let's take the break and come back to this discussion.
It's live, it's hot, provocative, and digs deep into the issues. It's KFM's Hot Seat in association with
Nile Gold, a crystal malt lager beyond an